Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a truly fascinating and honestly a highly complex source text. We're going to objectively break down the specific claims made in Chapter 3 of a text detailing what's described as Metatron's spiritual message from August 2021. Whether you're deeply familiar with these esoteric philosophies or you're just curious about how spiritual texts interpret modern global events, we're going to unpack exactly what this source material is claiming, step by step.
What makes this specific chapter so incredibly unique is how it vividly blends these cosmic, almost science fiction-like phenomena with very grounded modern geopolitical conflicts. According to the text, the spiritual realm and the physical realm are deeply, inextricably intertwined. So what happens in the halls of global governments is supposedly being directly influenced by forces from across the universe.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's text. 1. The God of Light. 2. The atheist superpower threat. 3. The 2050 global climax. 4. Integrating world philosophies. And 5. Mission of the Seeds.
Starting off with Section 1, the God of Light. Our first major concept introduces a spiritual entity who, according to the source, is actually currently conducting physical ground-level inspections of Earth. The text identifies this being as Metatron. He's described as a space being descending from the Sagittarius include star, who shares a part of the cosmic soul of Jesus Christ. And fascinatingly, the source notes Metatron is originally, get this, a goat-type entity, but he transforms into a human shape to walk among us.
Referred to here as a God of Light, his ongoing role is essentially to drop sparks of inspiration directly down to earthly leaders, thinkers, and messiahs. The claim is that he's actively guiding humanity behind the scenes during our most critical historical transitions.
Moving on to Section 2, the atheist superpower threat. And this brilliantly illustrates where the text radically shifts its focus from the cosmos right down to earthly geopolitics. It frames China as an atheistic, materialistic state that actively rejects what it calls the light of God. The text argues that such nations operate purely on deception. It points to extreme information control, forced assimilation policies, and the systemic cover-up of negative events, specifically citing wild examples like physically burying high-speed train accidents, cars and all, just to hide the truth from the public.
Now what's really interesting about this next part is the timeline. Section 3, the 2050 global climax.
The text plays out a very bold timeline, culminating around the year 2050, showing how this ideological clash will supposedly physically manifest. We aren't just talking about abstract philosophy anymore. It suggests that right now, humanity faces a critical decision point regarding global leadership. Do we allow the decline of the Anglo-Saxons, meaning the advanced Western nations, or do we actively push them to continue leading the world order?
The text neutrally presents these two massive apocalyptic scenarios as the ultimate geopolitical battle in human history. It's framed almost like a movie script defining our future. Scenario A is the collapse of China, and Scenario B is the collapse of the United States. According to the source, the tension between these two dramatic outcomes is the absolute defining struggle of our current era.
Zooming back out to the macro scale for Section 4, integrating world philosophies.
To solve these extreme earthly divisions, the text proposes a grand cosmic vision. It argues that current major global thoughts, specifically Christianity, Islam, and Chinese atheism, are fundamentally clashing. The grand mission of the primary deity, El Cantare, is to integrate these three distinct conflicting slices of the global pie into a single, cohesive, universal framework.
The fundamental argument here is that to survive, humanity has to establish the law of the great universe. This means completely removing the exclusivity that you often find in monotheism, as well as the perceived coldness and cruelty of atheism. Recognizing that the universe is also ruled by God is presented as an absolutely mandatory step for humanity to enter its upcoming space age, allowing us to successfully interact with beings from beyond Earth.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Mission of the Seeds.
You see, the text doesn't just leave its readers with grand cosmic theories, it calls for highly specific earthly actions. And the claims here are striking. It asserts that it's actually possible to use supernatural spiritual power to rescue oppressed souls, specifically referencing those trapped in concentration camps in places like Xinjiang. Furthermore, it warns of an impending crisis that risks dropping the global population down to just 4 billion people, framing this entire ideological battle as a necessary fight to avert a massive human decline.
So, the crucial point is, faced with space beings, global superpower collapses, and these massive ideological shifts, how is an individual follower actually supposed to react? Well, the text introduces a highly practical concept known as the single seed.
The text strongly encourages its disciples to act as these individual seeds. It states that a single seed can spread to tens of thousands in one country. Even in the face of all these impending global crises, followers are urged to fearlessly spread their truth, engage persistently in the ideological battle, and most importantly, find genuine joy in actively building a brand new civilization.
This source leaves us with a truly sweeping and, frankly, unconventional worldview, seamlessly blending extraterrestrial phenomena with highly specific geopolitical critiques. It really forces us to ask, how do these kinds of cosmic predictions reshape our understanding of current earthly conflicts? And what might the future of global religion actually look like if viewed through the lens of a much broader, populated universe? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. I hope it sparked your curiosity to look deeper into how vastly different worldviews interpret the very same global events we see unfolding every single day.